Hello friends, welcome to yet another session on essay perspectives. The topic for today is the world is not magic and that's the most magical thing about it. Friends, as always, I have a personal request. Third edition of my book Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude has unfortunately been pirated. I urge all of you to buy original. Original copies can be bought from by scanning the QR code or by buying from the link mentioned here. Thank you. Friends, as always, this essay also has to be conceptualized as being made of various components and subcomponents. First we would introduce the topic, then we would dwell upon the essence of the topic, then we would discuss as to why world is not a magic, then we would try to explore as to how not being magic is magical, then we would introduce an element of criticality into the essay when we seek to explore if the world is always magic, and then we would conclude. Hello friends, as soon as I saw this topic I was reminded of Indian mythological stories wherein a deity was assigned, ascribed to every natural phenomenon. Like rain was attributed to a lord called Varunadeva, fire was attributed to something called Agni Deva. So the belief was that these deities would do some magic and that magic would lead to rain, fire, whatever. But however, as time passed by, thus at that point of time every natural phenomena was regarded to be nothing but magic. But as time passed by, as human understanding of the nature expanded, human beings started realizing that it is not a magic, there is a scientific reason behind it. So like water cycle, how water evaporates, forms clouds and leads to downpour. So then they realized there is nothing called Varunadeva, it is not magic. But the moment they realized that it's not magic, they were thrilled because the water around us would get evaporated by sun, then it solidifies as cloud and converts as water. So this is a cycle. So thus the very initially whatever made them feel magic, but once they realized that it was not magic but it was all logical, rational, actually led them to get excited. So that's how as you understand that the world is not magic, you get more excited, and that's how the world not being magic is more magical to feel. Once we have introduced the topic, it is time for us to understand the essence of the topic. So thus in this essay statement there are three key terms. One is magic, second one is magical, third one is world. So in order to understand the essence of the statement, first we have to understand the meanings of these three terms. The first is magic. Magic is any phenomena that is engendered by a supernatural force. So it is not by a natural force. So thus any phenomena that is regarded to be not possible in the regular course, any phenomena that is regarded to be not doable by regular means, if the same phenomena is executed by something beyond natural means, so that is what we call magic. So within the rules that are framed, this thing should not happen, but beyond these rules, so things do happen, so that is called magic. So after understanding the meaning of magic, it is time for us to understand the meaning of magical. Magical essentially means excitement. So that awe factor which everybody experiences when one is presented with something beyond normal grasp, something beyond one's comprehension, would make one feel that magical. Okay, so the idea is that excitement is what is conveyed by magical. So next comes world. So basically world has several connotations. Here the term world need to be understood not in a unidimensional sense but in a multi-dimensional sense. So thus world can be physical world, that is man-made world, that is civilization which is created by human being, like house, like vehicles, like gadgets, like utensils, so whatnot. All these things is what constitutes a physical world. Then comes natural world. So natural world is created by nature. So like hills, oceans, rivers, trees, animals, human beings, snow, snowfall, rainfall, whatnot, sand, desert, forest, all these things constitute a natural world. And there is something called spiritual world also. Spiritual world essentially means the world that tries to explore inner self of a human being. So what is the nature of mind? How does one contemplate? What is the strength that drives a man to do a particular thing? How can one mobilize, consolidate one's inner energy? All these things are understood by spiritual self. Similarly, we have emotional world, so which deals with the emotions of the human beings. So it essentially represents the emotions of every human being in a community, in a society, whatever. So thus the world has various dimensions. So when we bring together all these things, so how can we, what we can decipher? We can essentially decipher that see, every phenomena in man-made world, that is physical world or natural world or psychological world or spiritual world or even emotional world, is always comprehensible. It is engendered by a rational force, by a scientific method, by a natural force, not by any supernatural power. So thus the entire phenomena of the world, or all these worlds put together, can be explained through a logic, can be explained through a hypothesis or postulate or axiom or an experiment, etc. So there is a clear causation between things. There is a clear established relationship and link between various phenomena, various things. So that is what, and knowing that nothing happens just out of blue, but everything happens because of a reason, itself excites a person. So this essay seeks to explore whether every phenomena in every world is not incomprehensible, whether it tries to explore if every phenomena in every world can be explained through some logic, can be explained through some relationship pattern or whatever. Okay friends, let's move on. Now, after understanding the meaning, after setting the context, that the attempt of this essay is to understand if every aspect of or every phenomena in every type of world can be explained, is comprehensible, then we should substantiate that statement, right? That world is not magic, it is run by logic. Then the first and foremost thing is physical world. As I already told you, physical world is a man-made world. So thus man-made world, for everything you can establish a cause, you can explain the logic, and also you can establish clear cause, course, consequence relationship. So to illustrate, let us say, why would a rocket go up? Why would a rocket carrying a payload of satellite go up? So then there is this is a physical world created by a human being. Then there is an answer, because it depends on Newton's third law of motion, where for every action there is a reaction. So the downward thrust of the engine would push the rocket with equal force upwards, correct? Since every physical world phenomena is created with the proper understanding of the principles involved in it, so thus it is not at all a magic, it is always by logic, it is always comprehensible. And let us take another example of why red is used as a symbol of danger, correct? They could have chosen any other color, right? But red is chosen. Why? because red is visible from the farthest distance. That is also why is it visible from the farthest distance, because it has the longest wavelength. So thus all these things are that it's not a magic, right? So the red is visible from the farthest distance because it has a longer wavelength than any other color in the spectrum. So thus this physical world is created by human being. Since it is created by human being, it is not a magic, it is always logic. Then just like physical world, let us come to natural world. Though natural world is not created by human being, yet natural world, human endeavor is to understand the happenings in the natural world. So every time human being tries to understand why the nature behaves the way it does. So this inquisitive mindset of mankind has made him understand the principles and logics, reasons, rationality behind every natural phenomena. Correct? So leading to convincing us that even natural world is not by magic, it is by logic. To illustrate, human being has been able to understand the reasons for different climatic conditions in different parts of the world, in different parts of the year. So the human being is now able to understand why Russia is colder than let us say Indonesia, because he has understood that Russia being closer to the pole, whenever the earth tilting on 66.5 degree, whenever it is farther, then the sun rays reaches late, and that is why it is colder than Indonesia or any equatorial country. So this is a natural phenomena. So now human being has understood, right? So does it look like magic? No, right? There is a plausible, acceptable, convincing explanation for the way it happens. So similarly, there are reasons have been explored as to why a particular species grows in a particular climate, in a particular soil condition, all these things. So the natural world is also not magic, but whenever you know that this reason, this is the reason why this particular plant grows only in this part of area, maybe it needs a particular type of mineral which is rich in the soils in this area, then you get excited, right? It is not simple. So that is the beauty of the natural world. Then in many cases, friends, even if the reasons for a particular phenomena cannot be conclusively established, yet we would be able to identify the pattern. So that pattern itself makes us believe that it is not a magic, but it's a logic. To illustrate, we would not be able to know why the plants shed their leaves in autumn, but we know that they shed their leaves. Correct? So that is a pattern. So similarly, we know that chlorophyll is the reason for green color of any plant. We also know that varying proportion of chlorophyll would lead to different shades of green in a plant. But yet we may not even know that why chlorophyll is only in plant, why it is not in human beings. Correct? But yet there is a pattern. At least there is a pattern. So same case with the skin pigmentation, melanin. So you can say that if the pigmentation melanin is higher in proportion, it is darker skin, lower in proportion, it is lighter skin or fairer skin. But you would definitely not be able to know whether why it is in higher quantity, higher proportion in some individuals than in other individuals. But there is a pattern. So that pattern itself is good enough reason for us to believe that it is not a magic but a logic. Then the next point is the existence of natural laws. Correct? So any natural law for that matter, whether it is Newton's laws of motion, Newton's law of gravity, so any law of conservation of energy or anything. So these are natural laws, how nature behaves. Correct? So how nature behaves, it has been carefully observed, carefully experimented, and conclusions are drawn. So thus it is not magic. That is how the things have to behave, and that is how they behave. See, like for example, unlike poles attract each other, like poles repel each other. Correct, this is a natural law. So observation of the real phenomena has made us to create a law. So thus this law is a good enough reason to believe that the world is not a magic but a logic. So thus when you know this, you get excited. So whenever you see why mariner's compass always points to north, initially you think it is magic, but later when you realize that earth acts as a magnet and this is the reason, etc., etc., so then you realize, wow, so that is magical. Then the last thing is, so more than scientific world, in many phenomena where even if you are not able to come up with any law, even if you are not able to come up with any pattern that works in 100% of instances, yet you can make some generalizations based on probability. So this is more applicable to research in the field of medicine, where the efficacy of every drug or the progression of disease progression of every disease in human being is generalized, and finally those findings are presented with probability. Let us say if this drug is given, the disease gets cured in 95% of people or 97% of people. So here a human body is a very, very uncertain, inexplicable machine. It may work a particular way in one human being, and it may work in an altogether different fashion in another human being. So but the way it works is finally whether it is with certain probability. So this principle works in 95% of individuals. So this treatment works in 80% of people or 60% of people. So thus even if you are not able to come with a law that is universal, applicable to everyone, yet this is one good way. Correct? Okay friends, I hope you have understood now why the world is not a magic. Then we have understood why world is not a magic. Now we should also have to understand now how is not being magical. Correct, it's important, right? How is not being magical? So the first reason is feeling of magic triggers reality. See, this is a very interesting concept. So that means how everything has become a reality, because initially it is regarded to be a magic. So that feeling of magic tempts, inspires, triggers human mind to make it a reality. Correct? So once that becomes reality, wow, that feeling comes. Correct? So most of the things actually, so we first see it as a magic. We cannot understand the reason. This inability to understand the reason unsettles human mind, makes human mind restless, and human being starts thinking of the reason for it or tries to make it a reality. The best example is Newton. Isaac Newton, when he was sitting in an apple orchard, apple fell onto his head. This was a feeling of magic, but he tried to make it a reality. So that is how the Newton's law of gravity was discovered. Correct? Same is the case with C.V. Raman discovering the reason for sky being blue. So initially it was regarded to be a magic, right? So somebody, it's like just like that. Then he came up with a convincing explanation. So even more convincing example is Isaac Asimov, who was the one who conceptualized robots in his novel. But later that feeling of magic made individuals to come up with many interesting things, which is reality. Correct? Now because of which now this is a reality. Same, the robots are reality. Same is the case with aircrafts. Same is the case with mobile telephony. Correct. Everything was a part of skiffy, scientific fiction. So that is nothing but magic. But later it has become a reality. So that's whatever is the magic. Once it becomes reality, the excitement is, wow, we thought it is not possible, but we have made it possible. So that is the wow factor. Correct. So then initial incomprehensibility. So because whenever you come across many natural phenomena, initially you cannot comprehend it. So that sense of initial incomprehensibility makes you wonder, makes you excited when you actually comprehend it. That is a psychological angle. So that is the feeling. So initially you cannot understand, but once when you have understood, you feel wow. Correct. Then initial disbelief. So many times initially, whenever an idea is presented to you, you would not believe that idea. You would say, no, this is not possible. Perhaps the idea of say man going to space, building international space station, initially when it was floated, discussed, everybody would have laughed at it. Everybody would have thought this would not happen. Correct. That is the initial disbelief. This is not possible. But later when they get to know, they are like amazing. So here you have to understand the difference between initial incomprehensibility and initial disbelief. Initial incomprehensibility essentially means you are not able to understand. Initial disbelief means initially you know that this is not possible. So that is the difference thing. Then next thing is limited imagination. See, every human individual is not bestowed with the same amount of imagination. Some individuals are bestowed with excellent, higher imaginative skills. Some individuals are not bestowed with such high amount of imagination skill. So when you have a limited imagination, so then this limited imagination makes you get excited. So every small things you feel, wow. Okay. So if you have a better imagination, then perhaps you would think, okay, it's a very simple thing. So thus, not being a magic excites you. Last thing is pessimism. See, what is pessimism? Finally, you think nothing is possible. So in the backdrop of pessimism, you see something happening would actually tickles you, triggers you, excites you. Correct. So when Wright brothers were attempting to create a aircraft, everybody believed that they would fail, but later it became a reality. So thus, this is if everybody would have believed that is possible, then it would not have excited anybody. Since many people believed that it is not possible, yet it was made possible, then that led to what we call a magical feeling. So after understanding why world is not a magic, and also understanding how not knowing that the world is magic excites you. Correct. So now it is time for us to introduce an element of criticality into our essay. So we have to counter our own argument. So now we should say, we have all this while we have argued that world is not by magic but by logic. So but now the counter question that we need to pose is the world not at all a magic? The answer is no, the world is not at all magic. There is still larger portion of the world which is still magical, which is still incomprehensible, which is still not being able to understand with our limited understanding. The first thing is emotional world. See, we may have achieved great, huge, higher strides in scientific advancement, but when it comes to our emotional world, we cannot explain even today why do we get a particular emotion at a particular point of time. We cannot explain our mood swings. We cannot explain how a particular person is more emotionally intelligent than another person. So the emotional world, thus the behavior of our emotional world or the happenings of our emotional world is still magical. So why would a person gets excited or gets heightened motivation at a particular point of time and works is magical? Correct. So many times we feel, right, I did not believe that it was I who behaved the way I did. Correct. So maybe in some circumstances one who is normally a timid guy would have exhibited exemplary courage, exemplary valor, exemplary bravery. Correct. So thus everything is not magical. Next comes human relations. See, human relations also, it is not, it's magical only, right? For example, you, a person born in one part of the world would just meet person born in another part of the world, and a few days of meeting would create a bond in them, and that bond would make them like each other so much, so they would not be able to live without others. See, what explains this? Is this not magical? Is this not is it not exciting? Correct. So the world is still magical, but can you explain this through some scientific way? No, you cannot. So thus the world is magic only. So a person from Yugoslavia would fall in love with someone in, say, Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, which is possible, right? Their cultures don't match, nothing, but yet they like each other. And so sometimes a person who is brought up in the same culture, even if they two meet, then they may not like each other. So it's magic only. So it happened. It cannot happen in the same way between two same individuals. Correct. So thus it is still magical. Then last thing is medical miracles. See, we have seen, right, so many times doctors say this patient would not live for so many days, but yet medical miracles do happen. So the persons come back to life, they lead a normal life. In many cases the other way around also happens. So the doctors fail to suspect that this person has something serious, some serious ailment. So they say you're all perfectly alright, and a person dies. So thus the world is still magical. See, we may have learnt and understood the world very much in relation to what our ancestors understood, but definitely there is huge area which it is still need to be understood. We still don't know many things. Correct. So we have invented plastic, okay, but still we don't know how to make plastic degradable plastic, right? So like this. So thus it is time for conclusion. After elaborate discussion, we can very well conclude that the world is replete with the phenomena which appears to be magical. It is always exciting, enthralling to feel, experience the way world functions. Yet the world is so huge, the world is so complex, the world is so multidimensional that more and more you know, more and more remains to be known. So more and more you know, more and more remains to be known. So while one portion of the world appears not magical but logical, most of the world is still magical. Okay, thank you friends. I'm extremely sorry this time the video has been late, and also I'm making this video in a very tight schedule, so it appears that there may be some other noise and all, so may please pardon me. So next video would be really of very good sound quality. Thank you. Bye. All the best.